When it comes to Sega consoles, they've kind of been left behind when it comes to HDMI solutions. You can get HDMI mod kits for systems like the original Toaster NES, the Top Loader NES, the Nintendo 64, the GameCube, but you really don't have many options when it comes to adapting the Sega Genesis and the Sega Mega Drive to HDMI. Well, now Hyperkin is looking to take you into the HDMI world with a plug-and-play solution. And best of all, it doesn't cost you an arm and a leg. Hi there, this is Gary from Rock Solid Productions, and in this episode, we are going to check out the HDTV cable for the Sega Genesis, the Sega Mega Drive, and maybe something else. Stay tuned. Hey everyone, Gary here with Rock Solid Productions. If this is your first time to the channel, I want to just take a second and say thank you for stopping by and checking out what we have going here on the channel. Without you, the fans and the viewers, we'd just be talking to a camera right now, talking to ourselves. I really do appreciate you coming by, checking out what we're doing. If you like what you see here, do me a favor, give us a thumbs up on the video and check out some of the other videos we have on the channel. And if you really like what you see here, do me a huge favor, hit that subscribe button. That way each and every time we go live, we post new content, anything along those lines, you're kept the most up to date. So recently, Hyperkin announced the new HDTV cable for the Sega Genesis, and they sent us one in for review. I do want to thank them for sending us one in for review here to the channel. Now, the great thing about it is it promises to be plug and play with the Sega Genesis and the Sega Mega Drive. Now, it also promises that it should be compatible with more, perhaps, than just the Genesis. We're going to check that out in a minute. So what we're going to do, we're going to unbox it, see how this comes out of the package, compare it to some other options that are out there. And we're also going to do some side-by-side video footage comparing how this looks. This is my Model 2 Genesis that's been slightly modded. It does use HD Retrovision AV cables going through my OSSC. In all, about $400 worth of equipment to get this picture. It looks great. These are nowhere near that cost, so they shouldn't perform at the same level, but I'm still curious to see what this gets you for the price. Let's hit the bench. So here on the bench is the HDTV cable for Genesis. Notice it doesn't call it HDMI, it's just HDTV. Interesting choice of words. 7 feet long for modern televisions. It does show the Model 3, 2, and 1 Genesis, and that's really interesting, and I'll get into why in a moment. It does have a 4x3 and a 16:9 aspect ratio switch, which is awesome. Again, 7 feet, HDTV compatible, quality cable, and included adapter cable for Genesis Model 1. So why is this important? This means not only will this work with the Sega Genesis, it should work with the Sega Master System. We're going to find out for sure. Let's see, the Hyperkin HDTV cable for Genesis lets you conveniently display your favorite Genesis games or titles on your HDTV in 16:9 or 4:3 aspect ratio, supports 720p resolution, and provides a crisp stereo audio. Included inside are an adapter for use with a Model 1 Genesis and a 6-foot micro cable optional to use. So let's take a look inside the box. So that is your micro USB cable. I'm assuming that's for power if you need it. Okay, if this does this, this could be a game changer. Let's see, using Model 1 Genesis attached the included adapter. This guy here, I was going to make the do-do-do-do, but that's Nintendo, not Genesis. To your, let's see, attach the included adapter to your HDTV cable before plugging it in your Genesis. If your HDTV does not seem to function upon powering your console, attach the included micro cable to the HD cable's micro port. So you may or may not need a separate power source with this. So that is important to note. Now, another important note here is before powering on your cable, make sure your aspect ratio is configured. Moving the switch to the left position indicates 4:3 ratio. Moving the switch to the right indicates 16:9. Just other languages on the back. So the cable itself, you have the adapter box here, and you can see the 4:3 16:9. We're just going to go ahead and do that right away because yeah, we're going to be using 4:3, not 16:9. And the adapter cable just plugs in, Now be careful when you do this. I've had other adapter cables where I've actually bent pins when trying to put them together. So just arrow to arrow. It's like docking. And that will plug right into the back of your Model 1 Genesis. It will also plug into the back of your Master System. Theoretically, we're going to hook this up. We're going to check it out. Now, before we get started too, again, you've got the HDMI on the other end, as is expected. Now, you do have the HDMI on the other end, which you would expect. Now, temper your expectations. This is more of something to really... Well, it is claiming that there is some upscaling because they are calling that will upscale to 720p. I don't know necessarily that I'm expecting a whole lot more than what like these upscalers here that you've seen me test on the channel provide. A lot of times what these type of cables have is this type of box built in here. It just eliminates the need for composite input. So what we're going to do, like I say, we're going to plug this into our Master System for starters, and we're going to test it out. Let's get this in playing. Initial setup, super easy. Now for my TV, I can't tell right now if it will supply power to the cable, just because of the way I've got everything routed. I go from my system to my capture card to my TV. I had to provide power for it. It has nothing to do probably with the TV, but I was actually able to plug into the USB port on my capture card for power. And looking at R-Type here on screen, it looks both sharp and blurry, if that makes sense. There's definitely some kind of a filter going on here that does not look as sharp as if I'm using my OSSC, but it's a heck of a lot sharper than if I'm using the standard AV cable. So let's go in and test it out. Let's also see what we've got for, well, not see, let's hear what we have for audio and see what we have for any lag or delay. If you've never played R-Type, it's such a great game. You know, classic arcade style shooter. I mean, it was on so many different platforms. The one for the Master System is honestly one of my favorites that's out there. If you like games like Gradius, Parodius, R-Type, Super R-Type, whatnot, ooh, I missed the power up there. You will definitely love this. Come on, come on, come on. Oh, I have not played this one in nearly recently enough. Sound is good. Sound seems pretty accurate. You know, no oddball artifacting or anything like that going on here. The normal flicker that's, you know, present when playing with, you know, either the OSSC or the... Oh, I saw that bullet coming. You know, it's not doing anything out of the normal. It just looks like there's a filter applied a little bit to help smooth things out. Get the power up blaster there. Yeah, buddy. And then what you can actually do is you can connect it to the back of your ship. Oh, I guess I don't have that power up quite yet. But on some of the later versions, you can actually have it shoot behind you too. As I fly into the background. Overall, not bad. Again, comparing side by side with the... Oh, that's right, I don't have a pause button on the Master System. Let's check out one other Master System game here quick, too. Double Dragon for the Master System is possibly one of the hardest versions of this game. I love it, though. It looks so good. The audio is great. It's a great version of this game. If you have a Master System, you need to get your hands on one of these. Now again here, looking at the intro screen, a little bit of blurriness on some of the characters as they move around. I mean, everything's like the sprite work and everything. They're moving smoothly and whatnot, but at, you know, when they move faster, it seems like there's some blurriness, like that character that came on screen from the right there. Definitely looked blurry to me. And I think it's just, like I mentioned, it's the filter they've decided to use, or that's built into the cable itself. Is it offensive? No. Is it noticeable? Yes, it is. Is it taking away from my enjoyment of the game or making the game worse for me? Not at all. What's making the game worse for me is the fact that this game it's possibly the hardest version of the original Double Dragon you will find out there. that Rick Astley? Sure looks like he's never going to let you down, never going to give you up. I mean, the colors and everything, they look good. It just, like I say, it's as if I was emulating and I had a filter on, is the way that this looks to me. I will say, though, it is far superior than what the component cables would look. Now, one other thing that I have noticed in the past when going through any kind of an upscaler with the Master System is a vertical line that goes throughout the entire screen. I am seeing it here. So, I mean, that's not anything unique to this. Pretty much anytime. I think there's a mod to fix that. In fact, I'm pretty sure that there is. I just need to research it some more. But here's Double Dragon for the Master System using the HDMI cable from Hyperkin. Looks a lot better than composite, that's for sure. Now let's move on to the Genesis. Switching over to the Genesis, I figured since the new movie just came out, I'd throw in Aladdin. Now, one thing you notice on the title screen there, it does have some overscan around the image. I will say, at least looking at these title screens and everything, I do think this looks better and less smudgy, blurry, whatever you want to call it, than the Master System did. So here you can see on the borders here with the HDMI cable that overscan like I was talking about. Now this is something that with the OSSC I can actually take that out. But again, you're looking at a sub $40 solution in the Hyperkin HDMI cable versus a $200 to $300 solution using the OSSC and the HD Retrovision cables. I mean, it doesn't look bad. Like I say, I don't think it looks as blurry as the Master System did, but it does have, you know, it does have some issues to it. I mean, it's really unfair to compare it to a $500, $300 or $400 solution between the OSSC. You know, I will say I'm not feeling any lag or latency on here, just like in the, whoa, I guess I didn't realize that that was a spot where I could fall. I didn't think I was that close to the edge. Oh, and Aladdin has died. So that's what Aladdin looks like. Again, we've had some side-by-side here between both the HD Retrovision solution and this. Now we're going to switch over to the Sega CD. Again, you can kind of see the overscan on the side of the splash screen there at the very beginning of the video itself. Pretty typical, quite honestly. Colors look a little washed out. And again, it kind of has that smudgy look more so on this than what I saw on the on Aladdin. So this, I would say, is probably closer to what the Master System was outputting. But overall, I mean, it doesn't look... There's nothing offensive about what I'm seeing here. I will say that. Ooh, except for that enemy there, that was pretty offensive. That one there as well. I mean, it does look a little bit smudgier. Let's just have Sonic. We'll just stand here real quick. And you can kind of see it's a very soft palette that they've used here on this cable itself. I saw a force field. I definitely need to spend more time with my Sega CD. I really don't play it as much as I should. So there you have Sonic CD for the Sega CD. Now we're going to check out Street Fighter for the Sega Genesis. Just because, again, if there's any lag or latency or anything like that that's introduced by the cable, that'll kind of, you know, it'll be a telltale sort of thing. Let's find out one way or the other if we do have any lag or latency on here based on Street Fighter. Now, this is actually a very special edition of Street Fighter 2. It's the Champion Edition Arcade. This was donated to us here on the channel by Jason, one of our very generous Patreon supporters. Jason, thank you so much. We are going to use Ryu here. Looking at the names and everything on here, again, this is where I noticed the smudginess or the blurriness the most. I gotta learn the controls quick. Oh, Ken is kicking my rear end here. Got him. Barely, but I got him. Ken was coming at me pretty quick, so I could not test out the Dragon Uppercut. Being able to do the spinning sidekick and the shuriken was just fine. No, 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 no! Ooh. At least he won't perfect me. Dang it! Block, 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 block. Oh, he got me there. I mean, you can definitely see the smoothing that's been applied to the characters. Now, the one thing I will say, just to be fair on this, is the fact that if I did not have my OSSC and my component video cables, would I, would this be an option for me? And I would say absolutely it would be. I mean, even for me now, this is not a terrible option. I'm not feeling a ton of lag. Actually, I'm not feeling any lag. Got him. So, I mean, overall responsiveness felt good. One last game. We're going to actually test out a 32X game. 32X game? 32X game. 32X game. So this is Star Wars for the 32X. Now, you're not going to hear any audio. Unfortunately, it's one of those things. LucasArts always copyright strikes their, the John Williams music. So, unfortunately, I have to take that out of here. The one thing, too, I left my capture device recording so you could see that no signal. The reason why I wanted to show you that is because that is something that on those AV to HDMI cables, or the adapter boxes, it does that exact same thing. So my theory that it basically has one of those built into it, pretty much what it is, but this does still look better than those boxes. I'd say for something like this with the polygon graphics, you'll probably notice that smoothing and everything less than what I had in the past. Come here, you. There we go. We got one. Bomber. Now, this is one of those games, too, that one of the reasons why I wanted a 32X was specifically for this game. I remember playing X-Wing and TIE Fighter on my very first computer I ever had, a 486DX2. And, I've heard the horror stories even before. I bought this version of how bad this game was. It's not great. I mean, let's just be honest about it. But it's still a dog-fighting Star Wars game. Oh, here's how you can see outside the ship, too. Oh, I like this view a lot better. Yeah, buddy. Now, you don't get the radar view, which is a bit of a bummer, but you can see, what's going on around you a lot better. I'd say overall, with this graphic presentation, probably the best application for this cable to me, at least. I think this looks really good for what it is. The smoothing effect is much less noticeable on this. Overall, it looks really good, and like I say, no noticeable lag or delay. So, oh, we've got a. Whoa! What? Help me, Obi-Wan Kenobi. You're my only hope. Flying is for droids. All right, we're going to take down the Empire here, but we're also going to wrap things up. So there you have it, our look at the Hyperkin HD TV cable for the Sega, well, for multiple Sega systems. What did I like about it? First of all, plug and play. Super easy to use. Now my setup, I did need to use that separate power cable. Your mileage may vary on that. You may or may not need to utilize that. I loved the fact that it came with this bad boy here. This little jumper is the game changer for me. This allows me to not only use it on my Sega CD, on my Sega 32X, on my Model 2 Genesis, but is also compatible with the Model 1 Genesis and with the Master System. For that alone, it is worth its weight. I mean, it is awesome to be able to plug and play via HDMI with both the Master System and the Genesis. That's really cool. Kudos to Hyperkin for that. It's a great thing too. You don't have to worry about compatibility that way as far as what system you have. And technically speaking, with the cable end that it has on it without the adapter, it'll even work with the Nomad. So that's pretty freaking cool too. It is basically a better version of one of these AV to HDMI adapters. Is it better than this? Absolutely. No doubt whatsoever. It does provide a better picture than this. Now, will it provide as good of a picture as component or SCART cables going into a FrameMeister or an OSSC? No. But listen to what I'm about to say here. It's not designed for that customer. What do you mean? I'm hooking up my Genesis. I want it to look as good as possible. Absolutely. But what this is going for is for the person who either bought a secondhand Genesis at a garage sale. I mean, they don't even mention the Master System on here, so they weren't even necessarily even thinking about Master System customers, but it'll work with Master System. It's basically for that customer who just wants to hook up their Genesis, really their Genesis primarily, to their HDTV and not have to worry about component or composite cables. That is 90% of who this customer base is. The customer base for this, they don't know what a FrameMeister is. They don't know what an OSSC is. All they want is something that they can hook up to their modern flat panel TV and have it look decent. And for the money, that's exactly what this does. It's who it's intended for. Will this replace my OSSC and my component video cables? No, it won't. But if I want to go ahead and say I want to hook my Genesis up downstairs in our living room and play something down there, I'm going to use this cable because it's easy to use. If I'm going to use my Master System in a room where I just need to go ahead and hook it up to a flat panel TV, I'm going to use this cable. It is that convenient to use, and Hyperkin should definitely receive kudos for that. So a couple minor things that I wish did better. I wish that it didn't have that blurring or that smudgy effect as much. I realize that's probably a filter that they're using in the cable itself to help it with pixel loss or anything like that, as it is doing the upscaling that it does. I wasn't a huge fan of that. Above and beyond that, that's my major concern. Or not even concern, but piece of feedback on there. I thought in Sonic CD specifically, the colors did not look quite as vibrant as going through the component video cables. But above and beyond that, I didn't think that the colors looked off. The sound didn't sound off. Overall, it did a good job for the price. And it does have that 4x3 or 16:9 switch. I'm not a fan of playing games outside of their aspect ratio anymore. I'm a convert. Wasn't always like that. I used to be like, no, I want to fill this whole screen. No, give me the aspect ratio as designed, and I'm okay with the 4x3 on here. But these are just my opinions. Let me know what you think down in the comment section. Now, if you do want to pick up one of these cables, do me a favor. Head on over to the all-new CastleManiaGames.com. Ryan has done a lot of work to make the website even better for everybody out there. He has a new rewards program that he's getting ready to roll out that you'll want to check out. And if you use promo code ROX10, you'll save 10% on most of your orders on the website too. Very cool. Congratulations to Ryan on the new website there. They look great. The site looks great, and he does have these cables on the site. Now, if you do have any comments or questions, as always, make sure to leave them down below in the comments section. If you like what you see here, give us a thumbs up. If you don't like what you see here, give us a thumbs up. Let us know what you think. If you do have any other comments or questions, as always, feel free to send us an email at rocksolidmail@gmail.com. Hit me up on Twitter at RockSolidStudios. Instagram at instagram.com/rocksolidproductionsgk, or you can hit us up on our Facebook page at facebook.com/rocksolidproductions. And finally, like I mentioned at the beginning of this video, if you like what you see here, if you want to see more, do me a huge favor, hit that subscribe button. That way each and every time we do come out with new content, you're kept the most up to date, especially if you hit that bell notification. Pretty neat adapter for the Genesis, for the Mega Drive, and for the Master System. And for the price, it does a pretty good job. My name is Gary, this has been Rock Solid Productions, and our checking out our review of the HDTV cable for Sega consoles from Hyperkin. Thanks for watching, we'll see you soon.